ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦਿ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ। Thank you, Sangat ji, for joining today's discourse. We've all joined the Sangat today, but it is important to understand that we are not here through our own efforts. We have all been brought together by the divine themselves. Without the blessings of the divine, you can't be a part of a Sangat that will bring you closer to the divine. Only through the divine blessings can you be blessed with good Satsangat. So like Rishi Pal Singh Ji mentioned in the introduction, throughout the discourse, please keep your eyes closed and focus on your Shabad mantra, whichever mantra that may be. Have your mantra almost playing in the background while you are focusing on today's discourse. So let's get started with the discourse, Sangat Ji. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. So far in the Japji Sahib, the divine conversation between a young Guru Nanak and the Siddhs, Guruji have addressed three main topics. These are the attributes of the divine, the misconceptions surrounding spirituality and the hukam. Guruji have taught us that the divine is ever giving, ever nourishing, and is the complete truth. They have told us that committing worldly rituals like vowing not to speak, traveling to pilgrimages to clean the body and mind, and gaining vast amounts of worldly and spiritual knowledge all amount to nothing if your intentions aren't true and a true love for the divine is absent. Guruji have given us two key pieces of information. The first, if we really want to travel the path of the great prophets and saints, we have to accept the hukam of the divine. Accept God's will. Flow with the current of the river and not against it. The second, nothing happens without the blessings of the divine. The kirpa, Gur Prasad. True liberation of the soul cannot be achieved until the divine blesses us. Everything in our life is received through the grace of the divine, whether that be good or bad. So in the last discourse, we discussed Pauri number 7. And in this Pauri, a similar concept about our misconception of what actually matters in life was discussed. Guruji says you could be the wealthiest and the most respected person in the world. All four corners of the world could be singing your praises. But if you don't receive the nadar, the divine blessing, then you are Kita under Keet. Even amongst ants, you are the lowest of the low. Guruji ends this Pauri by saying that anyone can receive the gift of nadar, and any virtue that you possess are all due to the blessings of the divine. Sangat ji, today's discourse is based around Pauris 8 to 11. However, due to time, I will split these discourses into 2 parts. One of the main themes these Pauris explore is the power of listening, the power of hearing. And before we delve into the translations of the Gurbani, let's observe the influence listening has on us, whether that be conscious or subconscious. So, the beginning of human life, before a child is born, whilst the mother is pregnant, a learning process takes place within the unborn child. This learning process occurs through a few channels. These are through the mother's emotions, her speech, and through her hearing. The child is in a consistent learning process. Whenever the mother speaks, the child will absorb. Whenever the mother hears, the child will embrace. The quality of what the mother says and hears becomes the foundation of the child's learning. If the mother is constantly using negative language, swearing, slandering, and listening to negativity, the child's foundations will be rooted in Maya. However, if the mother speaks positively, in divine virtues, and listens to divinity, then the child will have the stability in their foundation to build a life pleasing to the divine. It's even now scientifically proven that listening to negativity will evoke stress on the mother, and this stress in turn can affect the development of the brain within the fetus. Without a word being said, the development of a child can be affected simply through hearing. Now this is the power of listening. Now, when the child is born, one of the first forms of learning is through sound. The mother and father will actively make sounds like mama and dada. And in time, the child will listen and will try to replicate these sounds. Our very foundation stems from sound. Guru Arjan Dev Ji, the 5th Guru in Sri Rag, say, Bhagat Nava Parkara, that there are 9 forms of devotional worship or bhakti. These are Sravan, hearing the divine's praises; Kirtan, singing the praises of the divine; Simran, remembrance of the divine's name; Pad Sevana, service and offerings at the divine's feet. Archana, worshipping the divine. Bandhana, prostration before the divine. Dasyam, developing feeling or emotion of the divine's servant. Sakhyam, cultivating the emotional bond of friendship. And Atma Nivedana, surrender of the self to the divine. In the 9 forms of bhakti, hearing, Sravan, is given the first position. Even in our current lives, Sangat ji, the person we are today is shaped around things we have heard. We might be low on confidence from things people have said to us. Our conflicts in life stem from hurtful things people have said to us. Our changes in attitude originate from something good or bad we have heard. I once heard a scholar say that everything man-made that we see around us originates from listening. If it's a building, the builders have heard and listened to the instructions of the architect and have brought the building to life. Even if it's something you have created, it was you listening to the voice within, which then translated into reality. What you hear and listen to can either make you or break you. One of the great saints of the 20th century, Baba Nand Singh Ji, used to frequently say that if you are in a room where someone starts to slander another, immediately leave or cover your ears, as listening to this slander will have a direct impact on you and your spirituality. So Sangat Ji, this is the influence and the impact listening can have on us. Now that we have had this foundational understanding of listening and hearing, let's listen to the Bani of these 4 bodies. Sri Vaheguru Ji, ਸੁਣਿਆ ਸਿੱਧ ਪੀਰ ਸੁਰਨਾਥ, ਸੁਣਿਆ ਧਰਤ ਤਵਲ ਆਕਾਸ, ਸੁਣਿਆ ਦੀਪ ਲੋ ਪਾਤਾਲ, ਸੁਣਿਆ ਪੋਹ ਨ ਸਕਾ ਕਾਲ, ਨਾਨਕ ਭਗਤਾ ਸਦਾ ਵਿਗਾਸ, ਸੁਣਿਆ ਦੁਖ ਪਾਪ ਕਾ ਨਾਸ, ਸੁਣਿਆ ਈਸਰ ਬਰਮਾ ਇੰਦ, ਸੁਣਿਆ ਮੁਖ ਸਾਲਾਹਣ ਮੰਦ, ਸੁਣਿਆ ਜੋਗ ਜੁਗਤ ਤਨ ਭੇਦ, ਸੁਣਿਆ ਸਾਸਤ ਸਿਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਵੇਦ, ਨਾਨਕ ਭਗਤਾ ਸਦਾ ਵਿਗਾਸ, ਸੁਣਿਆ ਦੁਖ ਪਾਪ ਕਾ ਨਾਸ, ਸੁਣਿਆ ਸਤ ਸੰਤੋਖ ਗਿਆਨ, ਸੁਣਿਆ 68 ਕਾ ਇਸਨਾਨ, ਸੁਣਿਆ ਪੜ ਪੜ ਪਾਵਹਿ ਮਾਨ, ਸੁਣਿਆ ਲਾਗੈ ਸਹਿਜ ਧਿਆਨ, ਨਾਨਕ ਭਗਤਾ ਸਦਾ ਵਿਗਾਸ, ਸੁਣਿਆ ਦੁਖ ਪਾਪ ਕਾ ਨਾਸ, ਸੁਣਿਆ ਸਰਾ ਗੁਣਾ ਕੇ ਗਾਹ, ਸੁਣਿਆ ਸੇਖ ਪੀਰ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ, ਸੁਣਿਆ ਅੰਧੇ ਪਾਵਹਿ ਰਾਹ, ਸੁਣਿਆ ਹਾਥ ਹੋਵੈ ਅਸਗਾਹ, ਨਾਨਕ ਭਗਤਾ ਸਦਾ ਵਿਗਾਸ, ਸੁਣਿਆ ਦੁਖ ਪਾਪ ਕਾ ਨਾਸ, ਨਾਨਕ ਭਗਤਾ ਸਦਾ ਵਿਗਾਸ, ਸੁਣਿਆ dukh paap ka naas. Sunaya, meaning to listen. Sangat ji, there are two types of listening. The first is a surface level of listening, and this is what me and you do when we listen to some kirtan, listen to a recitation of our scriptures, or listen to some katha or discourses. Though important, this is a superficial form of listening. This form of listening is dependent on our conceptual mind. The mind that is rooted in the Tregun, meaning the gross, the passionate, and the sattvic mind. Beyond this, as Bhai Sahib has explained to us before, is an existence that is free from the Tregun. An existence independent from the conceptual mind. This is a place of profound silence within us, a place of void, a place where one merges into the universal essence of the Shabad, the divine mantra. This void is referred to in many different ways by many different traditions, such as inner silence, nirvana, sahaj, sun, sun samadhi, sunya, and dasam dwar, to name a few. This is a place of inner peace and purity. Gurbani says, Arbad narbad tundukara, Taran na gagna hukm apara, Na din rain na chand na suraj, Sun samad lagaeda. For endless eons, there was only utter darkness. There was no earth or sky. There was only the infinite command of His hukam. There was no day or night, no moon or sun. The divine sat in primal, profound samadhi. This was a state of pure peace and bliss. And Sangatji, this place of sun resides in each and every one of us and can be revealed to us through divine blessings. So Sangatji, this place of inner silence is where true listening occurs. Bhai Sahib often tells us a story between their spiritual master, Baba Jaswant Singh Ji, and themselves, where Babaji tells Bhai Sahib to stop using the external worldly ears and instead tune into their inner ears. A spiritualist once said that our outer hearing is like eating just the orange peel, but not the orange. But true inner listening is actually eating the orange flesh and experiencing the true sweetness within. Throughout these 4 pauriyaan, Sangatji, you will hear the word Sunya 20 times. And each and every time Guruji uses this word, they're referring not to the superficial listening that we do, but that profound inner listening, or dhyan on the Shabad within. However, Sangatji, we will touch upon both forms of listening as first we must hear using our worldly ears. Then, if we are blessed enough, we can experience this true form of listening. Now, Sangatji, let's delve into some of these translations of the Gurbani. Sunaya Siddh Peer Sur Nath. Sunaya, by listening within, that listening where your surat is connected to the shabad, Siddh Peer Sur Nath. Siddh Peer Sur Nath are all labels for spiritualists, like we might call someone a sant or bhagat due to their spiritual elevation. In the same way, different people from all different traditions will have their own names. Sunaya Siddh Peer Sur Nath. Guruji says, by simply listening within, you can achieve the stages of spiritual elevation that spiritualists like the Siddhs and Peers achieved through years and years and lifetimes of meditation. This is the gift from Guru Nanak, almost the shortcut. Many spiritualists will try many different methods and techniques in hope to enter this stage of sun. But Guru Nanak have simply laid it out for us and have said, all you have to do is connect to the Shabad with your surat. And that which took decades and lifetimes of effort and complication can be achieved by simply doing Shabad Surat meditation. Sunaya Tart Taval Akas. Sunaya, through listening to the Shabad within, Tart Taval Akas, one starts to understand the reality of this world and the universe, how the world and galaxies work, who supports the world and planets. Science for centuries have tried to unfold the mysteries of the universe. They have formulated many theories, but have not even found 0.1% of how things are being so perfectly sustained, and nor would they be able to. Maharaj Ji say, Ja karta sir thika saje ape jane soi. The Creator who created this creation is the only one who knows the mysteries of the universe. However, Sangat Ji, the one who listens and is connected to the Shabad within realizes that the only thing that supports the world is the divine themselves. Sunaya Tart Taval Akas. Sunaya Deep Lo Patal. Sunaya, through listening within, Deep Lo Patal. The mysteries of the world, the nether regions, and the galaxies and solar systems will be revealed to you. Sangat Ji, you may be skeptical and be thinking, how is this possible? How can these things be revealed to one? But the reality is, it's because you are connecting directly to the source, the divine themselves. It's a bit like the game Broken Telephone, where one person whispers a phrase into someone's ear, that person then whispers what they have heard into the next person, which goes on and on down the line. Once the last person hears and says the phrase, it is completely different to the original whisper, as pieces of information have been misheard along the way. But if that last person went straight to the first person, they would have heard the full, correct phrase. So these Gurmukhs and saints that are tuned to the One transcend beyond the gross mind and connect directly to the divine themselves. We have heard an account from Bhai Sahib about their spiritual master, Baba Jaswant Singh Ji, where without a word being said, they knew the whereabouts and the conversation that a couple of members of the Sangat were having. These members of the Sangat had forgotten and were now running late to meet Babaji. And in an act to cover up, they decided to go to the store and buy Babaji a jumper, so that when they arrived, they would say that they were late due to having to go to the shop to buy them the gift. But hundreds of miles away, Babaji were narrating this whole situation to Bhai Sahib and told him that when they arrive, they will have an M&S bag with some clothes to offer Babaji. And what happened? A while later, a knock on the door, and there are some members of Sangat holding an M&S bag. So Sangat ji, a lot is revealed to you once you tune your ears inwardly and listen to the divine resonance within. Sonaya poh na saka kaal. Through listening within, poh na saka kaal, the fear of death cannot touch you. Sangat ji, we all have a fear of death, whether it be a death of our physical body, the death of our social status, or even the death of our consciousness. Everything we fear is due to death. We may spend our whole life in a search to overcome fear, but the reality is there's only one way, and that is through remembering and connecting with the divine. This is the only way to become, as it says in the Mool Mantar, Nirpao. Nirpao japa sagal pao mita. By meditating on the fearless divine, one starts to adopt this virtue and all fears are eradicated. Sangat ji, Simran is like Sangat. The more time you spend with someone, their good and bad virtues will rub off on you. In the same way, Sangat ji, if you spend time meditating, the divine virtues of the Almighty will start to manifest in your own life. Suniya, poh na saka kaal. Nanak bhagata sada vigas. Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, Bhagata sada vigas. The Bhagat of the divine. What is a Bhagat? A Bhagat is that saint or being who is connected to the divine within, who 24/7 listens to the divine resonance within. Sangat ji, talking about connection is a very powerful thing. Whatever we're connected to within will manifest in our own lives. If we are connected to money, the things we do will revolve around money. If we are connected to our job, this will be our life. If we are connected to Maya, Maya will consume our life. In the same way, if we are connected to the divine within, the divine will be ever present in our life. Let's take the example of a mother. The mother is connected 24/7 to her child. If the child is anxious, the mother too will be anxious. If the child is content and happy, the mother will also be happy. Our Divine Father is the same with his bhagats and saints. Sant dukh paaye te dukhi, sukh paaye sadhan ke sukhi. He is painful when he sees his saints in grief, and he is happy when he sees his saints are happy. So Sangat ji, connection is everything. Nanak bhagata sada vigas. Guru Nanak says the bhagat of the divine will be forever and ever in vigas. Vigas meaning immeasurable joy. Sada vigas, not temporary joy like we experience in this Maya world. Sometimes we are happy, sometimes we are sad, but eternal happiness. That can only be experienced through the Shabad. Sunaya dukh paap ka naas. Through listening to the Shabad within, all your suffering and sins will be destroyed. Some people may be thinking that I've been doing Paat and Simran all my life, but my pains haven't gone away. Sangat ji, it is important to realize that this can only be achieved through listening to the Shabad within, entering that place of void. No doubt that listening and reciting the prayers of the divine will help you to overcome some of your pain. But for all of your pains to go, the pains of the fear of death, the pains of life and death, these can only be extinguished through inner listening. Before we move on, Sangat ji, let's look at what dukh or dukh is, suffering or pain. You may be thinking, I've seen many saints who are connected to the divine, but still have physical ailments. Baba Jaswant Singh ji is an example of this. How could this be? But what we have to understand, Sangat ji, pain is perception. For one person, having a small cut on a hand can be a big pain. But if you ask that person with no hands, they would sacrifice anything to be in a position where they have the gift of hands. So what listening to the Shabad within does is it puts the being in a constant state of Anand, bliss, and Chardikala, high spirits. So whatever worldly pains or suffering that gets thrown at them, they will say, Tera kiya meetha laga. Whatever you do, my divine, is sweet to me. Sunaya dukh paap ka naas. Through inner listening, all pain and suffering is eradicated. This is the power of true listening. So Sangat ji, the question is now, how can we make our journey to this place of sun samadhi, true inner peace? Sangat ji, is all a process. Like we mentioned at the beginning of the discourse, there are two types of listening, a superficial form and a deeper form of inner listening. To cross over a river, one must first cross the bridge. In the same way, we must first use our external ears, and after practice and through divine blessings, we can then attune ourselves to our inner ears. I once asked a Gurmukh meaning that person whose face is facing the Guru, i.e., someone who's following and has embedded the teachings of the Guru within them. I asked them, how should we do Paat? How should we recite the Gurbani? Their response was simple. First, you must recite the Gurbani aloud, and with this, listen to the Gurbani you are reciting with your ears. And with effort, time, and blessings, this Bani will settle within, from where you can start to listen to the resonance within. Sangat ji, by doing this, will start to have conversations with the divine, similar to meditating. Your mind at first will run like crazy. The worst of thoughts will enter your mind, but this is Maya just doing its job. Once you persist with this, your mind will start to settle into the Gurbani. Whilst using this approach, you will find that solutions to your problems will randomly appear through thought in your mind. And more positive and motivating thoughts will start to be produced in our minds. This is simply the power of the scriptures. Those scriptures that are the embodiments of our gurus and prophets. This is your conversation with the divine. So Sangat ji, let's all try to implement this into our own lives, into our daily practice. Whether it be reciting a passage from the Bible, one page of the Quran, or simply reciting the Mool Mantra 5 times. Let's make it a daily practice where we sit, close our eyes, recite, and with our ears listen to the divine words we are reciting. And with the blessings of the divine, we may also attune ourselves to the void, the place of sun, and that place which will eradicate all our pains and suffering. It doesn't matter, Sangat ji, if you don't understand the words of your scriptures at first, because the true medium of communication is love. Love for the divine. And with that, Sangat ji, I come to the end of the discourse. I'd like to thank you, Sangat ji, for blessing me with your company, and also Bhai Sahib and Rishi for their guidance while writing today's discourse. Nanak Bhagta Sada Vigas, Sunaya Dukh Paap Ka Nas. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.